It was a dark and stormy night. Actually, it wasn't. It was relatively clear and kind of snowy, a little bit. But I'm extremely grateful to have gone over to Stephanie and Zach's house to sit down with them. And I thought that being around those monsters that they had, that I'd be kind of freaked out, like kind of creeped out. But the longer that I spent around there, the more comfortable I felt, if that's any way to talk about the situation. But all those monsters, Jason Voorhees, The Howling, Gremlins, those are all movies that I used to watch with my brother when we'd rent while staying over at my grandma's house from a local video store. And so, I felt very familiar with all the characters. So I hope you enjoyed the discussion we had. I think it was a lot of fun. And again, I'm thankful to them for letting me come by.
It's time for Gentlemen in Moderation.
It's a dead man's body. Who could ask for more? Everybody's coming. Leave your body at the door. Leave your body and soul at the door.
Don't cup the mic.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the. I feel like I should build up some sort of monster introduction or something where I'm like, and now. When I'm speaking. But anyway, I want to welcome and thank my guests today, Stephanie and Zach.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm super excited to be here. This is turning into a radio show now. It doesn't even seem like a podcast, but I'm super excited to be in the presence. And just to paint a picture for everybody, their house is covered in monsters. I guess that's the best way to say it. Is that how you would describe it?
Yeah, Halloween 365.
It's a museum of monsters and Halloween.
Yeah.
And from some of my favorite movies and my essential favorite time period for movies, for horror movies, I guess. And the thing that we were talking about a little bit off the mics is that I'd like to give just a little backstory before we get into asking about how the collection was created. But growing up, my brother and I have a younger brother. We'd go and stay over at my grandma's, and she would let us she had to entertain us. Right. So she was like, you guys can go to the local video store. And so what we would do is go there and pick out whatever, and she would let us get whatever we wanted to watch. So we started with, Friday the 13th, then we'd go to Nightmare on Elm Street, and then we kind of made our way through all of the movies. And just some great memories and some scares and everything else. And to this day, my brother and I still talk about the different films that we saw. So could you give us a little background of the collection that you have here?
Well, I kind of had a similar childhood to you. I grew up around monsters, too. My father owned a rental space. They had a video store in it. And they would also let me go in and rent whatever horror movies I wanted, as many as I wanted at once or whatever. So I would have total, Nightmare on Elm Street movie-thons and Halloween movie-thons, and eventually spread off into different Stephen King movies and different slashers and stuff. But yeah, I always wanted to have different monster props from those movies. So I originally wanted Freddy's glove, and Freddy's glove wasn't available as a replica to kids, so I remember building one out of sparklers and a garden glove, and putting it on my dresser and thinking that was, so that was probably my first prop that I really had. And then, as I got to be a big kid that had jobs, I could actually go out and buy stuff now. And I have a cool wife that allows me to
Yeah,
fill my
I just
house.
married into this, so
That allows me
that's
to
my
put
backstory.
monsters in my living room.
So now have you become a monster?
I have.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm quite impressed with my own knowledge of this, seeing I knew nothing about monsters before I met my husband. But yeah, I love our house is very unique, and I love that every time a plumber or someone comes to clean the carpet comes in, they take pictures with everything we have. And I usually forget to explain why we have monsters everywhere, so that's always fun.
We're very used to them,
Yeah, it's always fun when neighbors come by and they
pizza
like
guy?
look behind my back, like what's happening,
The pizza guy comes to the door and he's like,
Yeah.
"Why is there a huge werewolf behind
Yeah.
you?"
So I like the
what is this?
reactions we get from people with our interesting home.
I can remember seeing like a picture online and thinking to myself, I'm like, I couldn't get up to go to the bathroom at night. Like, I'd be too afraid.
Do you want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
Anytime we move anything, like we moved him around to put up the Christmas tree, it takes me like a solid 4 days to get used to it. So I'll think there's somebody standing in my, because I'm not used to being around the corner, and it'll scare the crap out of me. So yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does happen.
Yes, definitely.
And then just to, I have emphasized that there are monsters present here as we're doing the podcast, but I need to like get the scope for people. So there's like a full size, and tell me if I'm doing this, full size howling
Yeah, full
werewolf.
size, 8-foot howling werewolf. That's the head was done by Henry Alvarez, and then the rest of the body was done by McGee Effects. And then a full size American Werewolf in London that was based on Rick Baker's Academy Award winning makeup that was done for American Wolf in London. And actually, this one was also done off sim caliper measurements as the original, because the original still exists to this day. It's in a private collection. It was given to someone by Rick Baker. So, and actually, the guy that's restoring our Gremlin is actually did the restoration on that piece. But yeah, you were surrounded by werewolves, and there's the witch from Legend, Meg Mucklebones. We have Jason Voorhees here from Friday the 13th Part 3.
We have a 9-foot pumpkin head.
Yeah, we have a 9-foot pumpkin head. We have Harry Warden from My Bloody Valentine, and just a host of other Gremlins from the first Gremlins and the second Gremlins. Yeah.
Now, do you have well, I'm sure everyone asked you, do you have a favorite? But I'm going to scope in a little bit here. Okay. Do you have a favorite werewolf?
I would say my favorite werewolf is the Wolf from American Werewolf in London. That's probably the first werewolf film I saw as a kid, and that one just really grabbed me as a kid. And that one to me today still is one of my favorites. I love that. I love that one. I love that wolf.
Now, how are you with regard to legend of werewolf? Like, are you a type where you will watch a movie and you'll be like, oh, they don't have it right? Silver bullets and other things like that. Or no?
I kind of enjoy all the different interpretations of it. I think it's kind of cool. I kind of like even Silver Bullet with Stephen King with them killing him with the silver bullets and stuff like that. I like it. I think all of it's cool. I think that the whole werewolf folklore is cool too. Definitely.
I personally really liked the interpretation in the Lycans in
Underworld.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I thought that they did it. They were scary, like super scary.
Yeah, I thought they did a great job with those. I didn't like when they started CGI in a lot of them, but a lot of the first ones there was a lot of creature effects and suits done. And Steve Wang, who did some of the Gremlin effects, did those. I mean, and he's immensely talented. That guy's crazy talented. So those werewolves are
That's something
gorgeous.
that sucks with the new movies is that everything is CGI'd and these props aren't around anymore. And for somebody who enjoys the artwork of it, it's a shame.
If they were to make a lot of these movies now, a lot of it wouldn't be static or props anymore. It would be CGI and garbage like that, where these were big rubber monster suits being worn by people. Like even the first American Werewolf in London was a guy on a skateboard paddling it with his arms. I mean, that was that's what's cool. Pumpkinhead was a rubber suit. Harry and the Hendersons was a rubber suit. All those different monster, Alien Predator. I hate that. I hate all the CGI junk now. Even Gremlins. Like I would dread to see them make a Gremlins 3 because so much CGI would be used because all the budget for those movies was the puppets. That's why they had no actors of name in those movies because all the budget was used on puppetry and Critters, all those movies like that.
Now, I wanted to back up a little bit because the other thing that I wanted to point out is that I had you guys on my, if there was ever a zombie apocalypse, I was like, these guys would be on the team. But then I realized, because I have people that I picked out, well, first of all, I was like, they know monsters, and Stephanie's ripped. So I was like, I'm set. But then I started to realize, because I had somebody else on my list who was like a former Marine and all this, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm gonna be the weakest one. I'm like, don't they usually kill off the weakest?
Yeah, right.
So I'm like, I gotta be careful. So
we gotta stop smoking so we can run from these zombies. That's what it is.
I guess it depends on which zombie, right? Because you've seen some that are like they just kind of walk slow, and then you've seen the full sprint ones. I forgot which one it was, which movie I saw, Dawn of the Dead, or somebody that recently did an interpretation. They were like full sprinting. Oh yeah, I was like
World War Z. They're running like madmen in that one. Yeah, I know. I prefer them walking slowly where I can just duck away from them.
I guess I haven't thought too much about it. So.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Maybe.
my
maybe I need to-
11-year-old son is hoping for a zombie apocalypse, so he constantly hopes for that. So he's got it all planned out. We're going to Menards. That's what we're gonna have on it.
So, do you guys have a favorite item in your collection?
Do you, Stephanie?
I would say Meg Mucklebones. She's a naked witch in our living room. But yeah, she's my favorite. She looks the best, most realistic. The artwork of it is perfect. So yeah, that's my favorite piece.
I'd say she's my favorite, or she's one of my favorite looking pieces. But I think the gremlin downstairs is probably the one I wouldn't want to part with probably the most, because that was the hardest to find and the hardest to. It's actually got a COA signed by Rick Baker and
Yeah,
everything.
you won't get that
It can be
back.
identified. And I can actually watch the movie and point out which one it is and stuff, which is like, that's hard. It's hard to get something like that,
Now, what do you guys think about current or more recent horror movies? Obviously, you talked a little bit about the CGI, but as far as the scares go and what you're seeing, I know some people, like when I talk to my brother about it, he's like, they're so brutal. Like the Saw ones are so brutal. And is it just what's your guys' take on that?
Well, for me, I think it's just a different feeling. Like the old slasher movies and stuff, there's like a cheesy, fun, but you're getting murdered kind of thing to it. And now it's almost like, ooh, like
too much.
My 2-year-old watches horror movies with us, but I won't let her watch the newer ones because she doesn't need to see somebody slowly being cut to pieces. You know what I mean? But if Jason, knocks someone up against a tree or folds them in a mattress, like, whatever, So, yeah, I think the new ones are they're just too much. There's not the fun element that is in the older movies to me.
It's almost not horror at that point.
It's
It's almost just
gross.
it's like shock. Like, here, what can we shock you with? You know what I mean? That's not really scary to me. It's like, I wouldn't want that done, but that's not frightening to
And
me.
the thing
It's
I think we like more, too, is the creatures or
Yeah.
the serial killer, not so much, like Saw. There's not really...
I prefer the big rubber suits.
Yeah.
That's kind of... And,
We're old school.
We like it that way. Yeah, I don't know. Pumpkinhead, werewolves, Jason, the big stuff.
Now, what about things, because this is another thing, I'm going to keep referencing my brother because we've had a lot of fun discussion about this, but what about movies like Hellraiser and Phantasm and the ones that kind of like, I remember being a kid and being like, okay, Friday the 13th's in one category, and those are like mess with your head.
Just slasher type.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. It's just, do you guys have any...
It's funny, we're kind of like not big Hellraiser fans,
Yeah, we're not big
either of
Hellraiser
us.
people. I don't know. Yeah, I never got into
don't
them,
know
I
why.
guess. Yeah, because those are more... I don't know. I never got into those. I know it's that bad. I never got into Phantasm either. None of that. I don't know.
Bad question.
I know. sorry.
All right, I'll throw out another one that was a
Yeah.
weird one that we remembered, and that's, do you remember House 2? Did you watch House?
I remember
the
the
house.
first house. I remember the first house.
Uh-huh.
I remember the first house, but not that house too.
And see, that one didn't really, I don't think either one had any, like, a significant monster in it. It was just kind of like...
It was that was the one
Jumbled.
with the zombie the zombie dead guy, right?
Yeah.
The army dead guy. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
What was his name? I forgot. Sarge or something like that. Too. I forgot.
I know.
But yeah,
That's the thing. I was
it's been
like-
a long time. It's got that crystal. It had that crystal skull in it.
Uh-huh.
I remember it though. I do remember it.
So, one thing that I
Stop me.
brought with is I don't want to call them flashcards, but they're flashcards. And what I'm going to do is like word association or something. So I'm going to read you a name or something and then just whatever comes to your mind.
Okay.
Just because I'm trying to get into the head of you guys
It's a
little
therapy
bit.
session.
It's all right. First one, Vincent Price.
Vincent Price, Dracula, right? Vincent Price, Dracula.
All right. Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh, Big Trouble in Little China, Stephanie. Your girl from Sex and the City was in it.
Kim Cattrall.
Control was in that. Yeah. Oh, there was a lot of good effects in that movie too.
Uh-huh.
A lot of good effects in that movie. Very cool.
That was one of those that we watched as a kid. We watched like over and over and over again, and it was just putting it all together. And then the thing that I was thinking about again is going, I don't know if you could make that movie today. It was just because it had it was like a mysticism, but it was like you go, well, people would get mad. They would go, well, that's not really how China is.
Yeah, we get offended by it a little bit
Yeah.
more. Yeah, definitely.
But
Definitely.
it had a mystique about it.
Definitely.
That was something that was
Because he had like powers and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. That was a good movie. Did you ever seen that? That's a good movie. You should watch that one. We'll watch that one for sure.
All right, Killer Clowns.
I love Killer Clowns. Kyoto
My
Brothers.
daughter. It's my 2-year-old's favorite movie. So
Kyoto Brothers. They're awesome. Kyoto Brothers are the same ones that did the Critters, all the Critter puppets. And they were actually given money to do their own movie, which was Killer Clowns from Outer Space. So they did all the puppetry and all the effects and everything, wrote the script, everything.
yeah,
all
just prop people
all
who
done
wrote
by-
a script for a movie.
Just like Stan Winston did Pumpkinhead, he was given the
Yeah.
leeway to do Pumpkinhead. They were given leeway to do Killer Clowns. I think Killer
we
Clowns
had a
is
killer
great.
clown, didn't we? For a minute,
We did.
had a
we
bust.
Did. We had a head for a minute.
Yeah.
I love Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That's a great movie. That's a great movie.
And then, of course, Critters.
Oh yeah, love Critters. That was Leonardo DiCaprio's first movie, and we actually owned that critter for a minute too. The critter that falls off the roof at the end of that one, that gets flattened. We owned that one for a long time, and actually I turned that one. I used part of that one to buy this wolf here. So I've sold a few props. That was one of the ones I would like to have back, but. That one and the other critter we sold. I had another screen used critter that was also sold.
Uh-huh.
That was actually restored by the Kyoto Brothers too. So that one was precious too a little bit. But that was sold for big wolves though too, so that's okay. It's all right.
Now, I remember watching that movie played a big role in me not wanting to ever dangle any part of me over the side of the bed. I just remember seeing there was even a scene in there, I think, where they did it where somebody was like their leg hung over or something. I know that's a classic, like they would do that in any movie, but
Oh yeah.
yeah, I just remember being like, yeah, let's rent this one. This looks good.
It seemed like Gremlins really spawned that. It spawned Ghoulies.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Ghoulies came out because we liked Ghoulies 2 a lot. Ghoulies 1's pretty lame, but Ghoulies 2's pretty fun. So.
All right, Predator.
Yeah, I love Predator. Stan Winston, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean-Claude Van Damme was supposed to be the original Predator. Did you know that?
I did not.
He wore the original costume.
Oh, okay.
And then,
Yeah, I remember seeing they had footage of him trying to run through the woods.
Yeah.
In that first outfit, and he looked like a duck or something. It was just a funky. It was
Yeah.
just a funky outfit.
I think they wanted
So-
to go with someone really big for that too. And they went with Tom Woodruff. He's the same guy that wore the same costume for Pumpkinhead, and then he wore it. I think he wore it for Predator. He wore it for Predator too, and he wore it for Harry and the Hendersons. So, because that was all Stan Winston characters too. Same stuntman, used for all of it. Really cool.
All right, this is getting a little off track. All right, Lost Boys.
Ooh, love Lost
Kiefer
Boys.
Sutherland.
You can say if you don't like it. It's
No. It's like Keith Sutherland. I'm surprised you didn't say the saxophone guy playing on the beach with his like 9-pack or whatever. That guy still does conventions now with his shirt off with the
That's funny.
saxophone. He still looks pretty good. I love Lost Boys. I think Lost Boys great. Corey Haim, Corey Feldman.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah, probably I think that's their best movie. Too, the Feldman and Haim.
Yeah, it was just
Before they
enough
got weird.
scary. It was kind of a weird one that was out there. And then the thing that's funny, though, that if you haven't seen it, is somebody took all of the times that Kiefer Sutherland says Michael in it, and they edited it all together into one long clip. So it's like,
funny.
Michael.
So I didn't realize how much he said it until I watched the clip.
I was just telling you the other day that every time I see him now, I can't picture him as a nice person. I can't,
Yeah.
because I remember seeing him in Stand By Me and Lost Boys as a little kid and thinking like, this guy's a jerk. He's a mean guy, like because he played a mean guy in both those movies. Then we watched The Vanishing or something the other day, and he plays like a nice boyfriend. I'm like, nope. He's a mean vampire guy. Forget about it.
All right, Elvira.
Boobs.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the first word that comes to my head.
Yeah, boobs, and she still looks good now.
She does.
Yeah.
I believe we follow her on Instagram, right?
Yeah, I've seen her recently in something. She still does conventions right now too. She still looks very nice.
Now, kind of going off of her a little bit and Vincent Price, I kind of see a certain time period of monsters, but do you also like the Boris Karloff, those?
Ah man, I'd probably be in trouble for saying it, but I'm not really into the black and whites as much. One of my older friends, Matt, who's a few years older than me, Like, he's really into them, and every time he says, like, if you watch The Creature, and I've seen all of them, but I'm like, yeah, but he's like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? I'm like,
Or blasphemy.
sorry, man. Like, I'm born in the 80s, so, like, it's all about Freddy and Michael and guys with knives and stuff, but, like, the black and whites don't do it for me as much, and he loves the black and whites. Like, he's got all of them. So he's got, like, The Creature, he's got a life-size Creature, and Dracula, and the Wolfman, all the Lon Chaney stuff. So...
Now, being exposed to all this now, if you guys were each a killer in a movie, what would be your thing?
Oh, that's a good one. I don't know. I think I'd like bite people or something.
I think I'd like to be like if I could be any of them.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I'd like to be Jason.
Oh, you'd be Jason?
Yeah, I think I'd like to stalk kids camping. I
Okay.
think I would thoroughly enjoy people pissing themselves in tents while I'm out there just snapping around in
I
the
guess
woods.
I'd be a wolf, right?
Or a wolf. I mean, any of them would be pretty cool.
You can be Jason. I'll
No,
be the
but
wolf.
I would like to be Jason though, and he's
Okay.
tall, and I would like to be tall someday.
Now, I'm not hearing a lot of love for vampires here.
Yeah, I guess we're not a big vampire family.
I like Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think that one's really good. You've never seen that one. I've told you I want to show you that one.
Yeah, I guess I haven't.
That one's really good. I think that one's really good. But I don't know. Maybe Dracula fans would get mad at me for saying that. Though.
No, and
You
I'm
know?
not trying to like bait. I was just, good conversation.
Well, I'm trying to think.
I'm trying to think what else with as far as
Interview with the Vampire is good too. With Brad Pitt, Kristen Slater,
seen
Tom
that one.
Cruise. That one's good.
yeah, I think Bram Stoker's kind of set the bar. Even though that wasn't like I remember seeing that as a kid and being like, wait a minute. This is not the Dracula that I
Right.
know.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was like went off, but then as I got older and I watched it again, I was like, "Whoa, this is good acting. This is a good story."
Gary Oldman and everything.
Gary
Yeah,
Oldman.
yeah. That's how I felt about it too. I saw it as a kid and I thought this is long and kind of boring, man. And then I seen it as an adult and I'm thinking, like, this is really good. I like this a lot. I thought it was really good. Keanu Reeves, I don't think is a very good actor, but I think that one he's really good in that one too. I don't know. And John Wick, but I don't know if that really takes a whole lot of skill. I don't know.
All right, so jumping back to wolves then. Teen Wolf.
Love Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf's
Oh my
good.
God, Teen
Yeah.
Wolf. Love Teen Wolf. We just watched that recently too.
We did
I love
indeed.
it. It's funny because all the young guys at my work, because I work with a lot of 25-year-old kids who I consider kids, and they like it. They like some of the old Teen Wolf. So I think Michael J. Fox was the coolest back then. I thought he was. I wanted to ride. I wanted to surf on vans and everything. Just like he. Teen Wolf was great.
So I'm jumping around a little bit, but I wanted to bring up another point about Jason, and that was another thing that I remember being scary about him was the guy never ran anywhere. He was just like he was just like I'm straightforward,
Right.
Whatever it is, and that made it scary because it was like no matter what you did, no matter
not
where
run
you
him.
ran.
Michael too. He didn't run.
Yeah, he never ran. Yeah.
Slow and steady.
It's kind of crazy to see the newer Friday, because I still like the newer Friday the 13th. I like the one with the kid from Gilmore Girls and everything else. I thought it was still pretty good. And in those ones, he's like running around, jumping off of porches and stuff. It's weird to see him chasing people. I mean, it's like you're actually running, huh? Like, all right, he's not the big stalker anymore. But my favorite Jason was Part 3 when he was still kind of just a mutated backwoods guy. So he was still kind of moving like. As he got later, he turned more and more into a zombie. By Freddy vs. Jason, it was like he was moving at a snail's pace, but he could still catch you from just about any part of the woods, like teleporting around the woods almost.
Now, do you guys have scenes that stand out? From it, not to get too particular, I can give you one that I remember from Michael Myers, and it was when Jamie Lee Curtis was in a closet, and he's trying to come in, and there's all these hangers, and she's like trying to just like cornered.
Bashing through the closet
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, that's a great scene. Well, I like Halloween when he stabs Bob, puts him into the thing and tilts his head at him. But let's see, I really like as far as like from Friday the 13th. I like the sleeping bag scene where he takes the girl and swings her into a tree, and kills her that way. I know when I met Kane Hodder, he asked me what my favorite kill was. And I told him that was it, and he told me they filled the bag with watermelons when they slammed it into supposedly. I don't know. He said a human would have been too heavy to swing or something like that. So, but they swung a bunch of watermelons into the tree in that sleeping bag. So I thought it was pretty cool. So
They I've played the new Friday the 13th game.
Okay.
It's on like Xbox and all that, and I have to say I have enjoyed it.
liked it?
But yeah, because they have all the different Jasons from, you could be the different Jasons from the different movies.
Right.
And then they also have things within it that are like, if you're a counselor, say you're on the counselor side, you have to go and you have to find parts to the car to get it to start. So you have to
Okay.
like find a battery, and then you have to do this, and then you have to try and escape. And so it brought back, it brings a little bit of that experience.
Right.
Into
Oh,
the-
definitely.
So
Definitely. Well, like part 3 too, I also like where she has like a dream sequence, and she sees him up in the window, and he's got like blood all over his face, and she says like, "It's you," and he like comes like running out. I always thought, because that was Stan Winston's like alternate makeup that they were supposed to use for the movie with his mask off, and they wound up going with the other version. But he comes running down the stairs, and I just always thought that he looks like insane, but basically like can't wait to get to her, you know, and it's broad daylight too, and he's just running down these stairs at her. So.
My favorite scene is Nightmare on Elm Street, the second one, the pool scene.
Oh yeah.
When everything's on fire and Freddy just looks.
Oh, comes through the bushes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
it's
does.
a perfect scene.
You're
I
all
love
my
it.
children now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Love that.
that is my favorite.
Yeah. It's not the love.
now, how is Halloween around here?
We spend, it's like a month-long activity for us. We spend every night watching a new horror movie.
We planned it out. We ran them all out.
Yeah, we write them out,
We like
which we're
starve
going to
each,
watch.
we like starve each other on horror
Oh,
movies.
and we do. We don't allow each other to watch horror movies a few months before October.
Yeah.
So, and then every night we watch another slasher film. And our daughter, now that we have a 2-year-old, she loves Halloween, and you know, it's just a big deal for us. Back before we had a child, we would go to probably 20 haunted houses in a season.
It's at least 20 out of
It was yeah, like 4 or 5 a
500
night,
bucks
yeah.
on haunted house.
And then we realized that's not conducive to
That's not feasible
paying your
with
mortgage,
mortgages
you know.
and kids. Yeah.
But yeah, so we make a big deal out of Halloween.
It's nuts.
Is it ever too much? Like, do you have to dial it back, or are you like, no, this is by doing the little bit of starvation beforehand, it's
Oh yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that's
it's
enough.
so worth it.
Yeah.
Once you get to it.
Yeah.
Because you might get a little tired of something, but then as soon as it comes back, you love it again. And then,
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Yeah, like if I don't see Halloween for a few months, like, oh man, do I love it again, you know? So that's all I need is a little bit of time off, and I love it.
Now, is it hard for people to scare you?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we're rough.
Yeah.
Like,
They would try to scare me at work, like pop out of things and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, man, I don't know, man.
yeah.
As I was driving down the street here, I was like, I'm gonna be looking for those two. I'm like, one of them's gonna mess with me. I know it. I'm like, I'm gonna roll up, and then they're gonna come up. I'm gonna see them in the rearview mirror or
There's
something.
gonna be-
I'm like,
I was just gonna say I'd be scared of more of bad neighborhoods than monsters.
Yeah.
Now I'm not scared of any. I don't know.
We did freak out our new neighbors. They live across the street, and we have a big picture window. And for a while, we had a life-size Freddy Krueger standing in the room. And they thought that we just stood in the window and stared at them all the time. They didn't realize that we had full-size monsters. And when I finally met them, they're like, why do you watch us all the time in the window? I'm like, oh, that's not us. That's Freddy Krueger. So,
Yeah.
so
Don't
the
go to
neighbors,
sleep.
yeah.
People will constantly come over and be like, "Is that Freddy in your living room?" Be like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it is." You could see him right from the street. He was right out. Yeah, it was funny.
there's somebody. I was going to see one of my friends, and down where he lives, he's out in New Lenox. Somebody out there on one of the empty streets has a life-size Jason and a Michael Myers, and they put him out for Halloween. And I didn't drive by there for Halloween, but I went over to his house for New Year's, and as I drove down the street for New Year's, they were out in front still, and they had Santa hats on.
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
they
We
left
dress
us-
up all of our monsters for the
Yeah,
holidays.
she does. She
yeah.
puts garland all over him and
Yeah,
stuff.
Santa
He
hats.
used to like garland on him yesterday when I was messing with his hat and we were
Oh,
watching the
yeah.
movie. I'm like, he's got garland on you.
Okay, so I'm gonna go. I kind of veered off topic a little bit, but I'm gonna get back to the Crypt Keeper.
I like Tales from the Crypt a lot too.
I do too. That was my first introduction to horror as a child. You know,
Yeah, I should get back. I should back up there and ask because you married into this.
I
but,
did.
But what was your?
My first it was probably Tales from the Crypt. I remember not supposed to watch it. My
Right.
parents wouldn't allow it, but when they went to bed on Saturday nights, I remember me and my friends would turn it on at 10 o'clock, and yeah, that was my first introduction to it all. So,
They were so cheesy but good.
oh yeah.
Yeah. And Creepshow too. Creepshow was kind of along the same lines. Just shorts like that. I like that. I thought that always Naughty or Nice was the best one with the escaped mental Santa on Christmas. I always thought that one was the best. That one was the one that really like creeped me out. I always thought like, oh my god, like because she kills her husband. Whatever. She kills her husband and like, but then the same night, because that's all the stories were. They were like twisted stories, like the criminal gets turned into the victim type deal, So. Yeah.
Yep, I totally remember watching those. It was the same thing. It was like a Saturday night. I think those for me came after Jason. I think Friday the 13th was my first thing. I think that was it. It was either that or it had to be that, because later I remember what my parents would do. I shouldn't call them out on this, but I'm going to. Was my dad would like record stuff like movies, and then he would edit them before we saw them.
That's funny.
Yeah, he was trying to be like super protective of us. So it was like we'd see a scene and then it would jump cut to another scene, and it was usually all the Arnold Schwarzenegger movies. It was like Running Man, or it was something else. He was like he'd cut out the sex scenes, or he'd do something else, and I was like, what? And then years later I watched it, and I'm like, wait a minute.
That's what happened to that guy.
That's funny.
That's why he wasn't that's why he was out of the movie in the first 45 minutes. I never saw him again.
So, but obviously he could never touch, Friday the 13th in those movies, because that was pretty much everything.
Every scene of it gone, yeah. That's awesome.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Chucky.
That's our daughter's favorite.
That's our daughter's favorite movie.
Yeah.
It's weird for a 2-year-old to be obsessed with Chucky, but she is. She walks around with Chucky pins on her jacket. And I like the whole series. Both of us have an unhealthy obsession with Jennifer Tilly too. So
we both like Jennifer Tilly.
Yeah, so it works well.
Yeah. And actually, I think Chucky, I've actually grown to like Chucky more as I've gotten older. Because I think when I was younger, I kind of just avoided that series a little bit. Now, as an older guy, I've kind of started watching it.
They just recently started redoing the series.
Yeah,
have you seen any of them? Mm-hmm. There's been 2 out so far. They're making it, because Chucky got a little goofy towards the end, and they're making it more serious. There's been 2 so far. I think another one's coming out soon. But Chucky's just one of those things that will always be cool. Everybody will always know who Chucky is, and Pepper was Chucky for her first Halloween.
And how was it, the parent in me now is asking, like, you guys had all these before you had a child. I mean, what was it like? What was your thought process going into it? Like, well, you got to be you. But at the same time, you're like,
she better not tear them down when she starts walking.
Yeah.
That's what we were thinking.
I was really scared about that.
No, I'm not worried about it. I think it's better to be unique than not. So she's definitely going to be unique. But I have come into problems when I've had play dates over here. I kind of explained that my house is different, and now that she's like 2.5, 3, and her friends are that age too, it's we're not gonna have many play dates here. Yeah, the one little girl lasted like 10 minutes and she had to leave. So, which is fine. We don't need to have sleepovers till we're 12 or till she's 12. So,
but I think it's kind of good though too at the same time, because I was into Freddy. Like, instead of, you could have replaced G.I. Joe for some kids, for me with Freddy. So, like, I wasn't scared of anything as a kid.
Well,
like,
no, she won't be scared of anything, but her friends still will be,
right.
So.
Well, yeah, but she won't be the wuss in the group.
No,
I don't know. Like, I
definitely
just never... I had a best friend when I was, like, 6, 7 years old, and both of us were, like, Freddy for probably, like, 7 Halloweens in a row. I mean, it was nuts. Our parents were like, all right, enough already, but we did. And it just wasn't, like... I wasn't scared of Freddy being in my closet. I was kind of hoping maybe he would be in my closet. And
Pepper's obsessed
we
with
could,
monsters.
Like, go out and play guns together or something,
Yeah, Pepper wants monsters under her bed and wants monsters in her closet. So as long as she stays cute, she'll be good.
and you have to think, how many years, how many kids have been the various monsters. Like, I couldn't even imagine this actual statistic of how many kids have been Jason. Like, how many masks have been sold. And there's still today. I mean, even today you go to the store, and even without the backing of the movies and everything.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Trick-or-treating, we saw a few kids with Freddy costumes and stuff, and it's cool. It's lasted this long, and it's not going to go anywhere. Those are iconic, things in our culture.
The big slashers like that will never go away. My kid will be taking his kids to probably go see a Friday the 13th movie or a Halloween movie.
Or at least know who the characters are.
Well, look, there's a new Halloween coming out this year, and it's got
John Carpenter.
It's got John Carpenter, Jamie Lee Curtis, even Tony Moran, the guy that played Nick Castle, the guy who played one of the original Michael Myers in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
He's reprising the role as Michael Myers in this one.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's awesome. I can't wait to see, even if it's a flaming pile of garbage. I can't wait to see
Yeah.
it. Like that'll be fine with me. I'll roast marshmallows in the flame. I don't even care.
So a quick backstory again, because of my love of the monsters and everything, is that what we used to do when we were little was we had a backyard. So every Halloween we put on like a haunted backyard. Cool. It was terrible. It was just like it was kids. The best you could do with what you had. You had no money, so you were like, let me do this. So the best thing that we had was one year was that my brother was dressed as Jason, and we covered him in a pile of leaves, and we put him underneath this giant pile, and then I actually convinced some kids in the neighborhood to come through our haunted yard. So it was like we got this dummy hanging up. It looks like it's hanging and all this stuff. And so the backstory is that I had my mom paint my face, so I didn't wear glasses. So I was completely blind and in the dark.
Oh no!
So that's already a problem. And I'm using a flashlight. I'm like, but I'm the character. I gotta be this Dracula or whoever I am. So I bring the kids through the yard, and we had a fortune teller set up. This girl of a neighborhood, so she was like with this light, and these kids would come over, and she'd be like, something bad is gonna happen, and like setting the mood for everything.
Mm-hmm.
And these kids are already on edge as it is. There's a dummy hanging from the tree, and there's other stuff. So what happens is the kids go past a little bit, and my brother goes right out of the leaves, and chaos ensues. So I'm trying to guide all these kids to, because it was a fenced-in yard, go to the exit. And I had this bright idea. When you're a kid, you don't think through logistics. Never do this today. That I was going to set up a trip line.
Oh boy.
To scare the kid, to get the kids.
Yeah.
So I run behind this tree. I'm like, run to the exit. And my brother's chasing him, and he's like, rah. So I see bodies go by, and it's blurry, and I can't see anything. So I see this body coming, and I go, yank on its extension cord. It was my brother.
Nice.
He went flying into the fence and didn't even know what would happen. He just like Jason Voorhees. I just took him out. And so to this day, I was like, I was laughing so hard, and I felt so terrible because I couldn't see and all this stuff. But the kids got away, and it ended up being a good story. He didn't break anything, but I was like,
That's
he
awesome.
was so
Horror
mad.
is fun.
Yeah.
Horror is,
It's
that's
dangerous and fun. Perfect.
exactly.
So
That's awesome though.
So you talked a little bit about how Chucky started to get a little bit
Silly.
silly.
Yeah.
So speaking of silly, Leprechaun.
Oh, that's... Zach can take that one.
Okay.
I enjoyed the Leprechaun series. They got absolutely ridiculous towards the end with him going to the
Yeah,
hood.
what did we
and
watch the other day? Leprechaun in the Hood?
No,
Oh,
Back to the Hood. Back to the
sorry.
Hood, yeah.
Yeah, that one was
Oh
rough.
my
I couldn't
God,
sit
man.
through that.
That one was terrible,
Yeah.
too. I mean, like, man, even...
But you
just
still own
of it.
all the DVDs, and you still are a fan.
I do have the Pot of Gore collection. That's what it's called, the Pot of Gore collection. I've got that. But I thought the first few were really good. I thought with Jennifer Aniston, that was her first movie ever. I heard a funny thing about her. She wanted the director told her that he wanted her to be blonde and do a nude scene. And she says, I'm not being blonde, and I'm not getting nude. And the director was like, okay, but that's what the studio wants. So we're going to tell them that we're going to put that in the movie, but when they get the film, none of it's going to be in there. And they're like, okay. And sure enough, like they liked her so much, they're like, all right, fine, skip the nude scenes, skip the blonde hair, that's fine. But I thought that movie was great. I don't know. I don't like the newest one. They made a new one with WCW owns it now, wrestling company.
That's all I had to say.
Oh
Yeah,
my
right.
God. They got like one of the little midget wrestlers is now playing the Leprechaun,
Oh.
and he's not like a leprechaun. He's like a troll monster looking. It's just stupid. It's really bad.
I think I did watch Leprechaun in the Hood, and I think I did watch Leprechaun in Space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They blast him off into space. Well, Ice-T's in the hood.
Yeah.
The Hood one.
Yeah, he
Really
is.
quality acting job by
Yeah.
Ice-T. You know. That's so bad. Warwick Davis is good though. I liked Warwick Davis in
Yeah.
it. I thought he did a really good job playing the character, and he was consistent through all of it, and actually legitimate because he was Willow and he was in Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. So I think he did a good job as bringing some legitimacy to the role a little bit, but towards the end, I think it was pretty bad. They were just looking for a paycheck, probably towards the end. And I would have said yes too. So.
Well, it was interesting because I had kind of wondered too. Like I had seen Warwick Davis and Willow, and I was like, he's got some good chops about him and everything.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it was like Leprechaun went off the rails, and I'm like, wait? Then I started to like doubt him a little bit.
Right.
But then it was interesting because then I watched. Now I'm being a total nerd, but I watched this like 30th anniversary interview with him and Val Kilmer about Willow.
Okay.
And they were both the same like in the movie. Like Val Kilmer's just fucking with him the whole time, and he's trying to be like, no, this is a good celebration of this and this, and Val Kilmer's like hugging him and all that stuff, just being himself. And I thought it was funny because I was like, okay, now I see like your chemistry that you had in Willow was really how it was.
It was real. That's really cool.
So-
I liked Willow as a kid too. I liked that movie. I haven't seen that since I was a kid either, though.
So, all right, most of these were for me to remember. We already talked about House 2. All right, The Gate.
The Gate. I remember Stephen Dorff, right? Is in the gate with the little minion monsters.
Yeah,
Yes.
those things were scary as hell.
They open
to
up
me.
like the little portal
Yeah.
of hell. Yeah, I remember that. I remember thinking that too. I remember being jealous that he had an older sister. In that one, I thought like I want an older sister. Man, so my parents would leave us alone and could find a portal to hell in the backyard. I'm like, what the hell? Did you ever do that with your little brother, Steph? When you
No,
were babies?
no.
You never
Can't
found
say
a
that I have.
portal to hell. I always liked those little minions though. I thought those little minions were cool. Yeah.
I think I remember. Were they like a claymation?
They were like claymation looking guys, and they had some static props. I've seen those puppets come up. Mm-hmm. One of the auction companies that I go through is Profiles in History. Mm-hmm. That's where I got my Gremlin from, and like they always have cool stuff like that pop up, and I've seen a couple of those miniatures pop up in that one. Mm-hmm. They almost look like little like reptile looking guys, almost with red eyes and stuff. I remember them like that.
Now, what would you guys say would be advice that you would have for anybody interested in horror or movie props or things like that? Is there anything you can give as far as advice of either collecting or how,
I think collecting. I think because I've been doing it now for like 15 years probably. I think a collection, if you're going to build it fast, would be really expensive. But if you just do it slowly over time.
Well, most people ask me, where do you get all this stuff?
Oh
You know?
yeah.
That's the biggest question.
And one of the things is that it ties into that though. It's kind of making connections with people because if you just go on eBay and you type in like movie prop, you can find something for $20,000 all day long. You know what I mean? You could probably, if you were rich, could assemble a hell of a museum. But I think if you really want to get pieces like 2 of my critter puppets came directly from people who knew the Kyoto brothers. I didn't buy those off eBay. I didn't buy them off of auction sites. My Gremlin I paid big money for because I bought it off an auction site. Mm-hmm. But I think if you make the right connections and stuff like that and kind of know people like in like the horror nerd community, people kind of swap stuff back and forth. Because one of my best friends that also collects, me and him, like we call it the family. We have like a group of 3 guys that like if I would sell him Meg, he wouldn't sell Meg again, but he would let me know first, like, hey, before I sell this, like.
Trying to keep it in the family.
I want to keep it in the family. We had a life-size leprechaun for a long time, and he's probably traded hands between the 3 of us like 4 different times. But nobody wants to let him go.
Yeah. I have a mortgage payment to pay. Do you want to take him
right,
for the
like
next few
somebody's
months?
buying a motorcycle. Here, you want to buy a leprechaun? Yeah, okay, and then but 2 years from now when I sell the motorcycle, I might want to buy that leprechaun back. So
Yeah.
Look, we've done a lot of that.
Has there been any of these that have come through that have any like bad juju? Like things?
No, I wish.
You're like, come on, make the walls
nothing.
bleed.
No Annabelle
Nothing. No, nothing.
No. I bought stuff before that was not as advertised.
Uh-huh.
That's what I would say would be careful, like in this hobby.
Uh-huh.
A lot of people claim that things are in mint condition or they're in great shape, and when they're 20 years old, man, it's really hard to believe if they're in good shape. If it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. And like that pumpkin head in there, I had one other one before that I actually had paid to ship and everything like that, and it was soft like a sponge. It was bad. Like it could have just pulled chunks of it apart and stuff, and then crumbled in my hands. Like, and I paid thousands for it, and it was just really dejecting to get a big lumpy pile of shit in the box from somebody. It sucks.
Now, do you guys go to any cons or any like to meet either the actors or the writers or the creators or any?
Oh yeah, we go. We recently had our Michael Myers coverall signed.
Yeah. We own the screen used coveralls from Halloween 4, the end scene where he's shot down into the well. And George Wilbur, who wore the suit, we got to meet him and have it signed by him and
we had
everything.
confirmation
Yeah.
from him that they were his.
Yeah, and he even
you know.
said, he's like, oh my God, I haven't seen these in forever. And I'm like, oh, these are the ones you wore. And he's like, yeah, they are. And he's like, oh man, I can't fit into these now. Because they was really tall, but he was skinny, you know, and
Yeah.
I was kind of fatter now. And he kind of held them up, but he signed them for us and everything. And then, because he's the reason we had our thorns on our wrists and
Oh
everything
yeah,
like that.
we extra dorky. We have Michael Myers thorns on
Yeah.
our wrist from Halloween 4.
Yep.
Yeah, that's there forever. But what else did we get signed? We had the Freddy glove signed.
Oh yeah, yeah. Robert Englund signed
Yeah.
my Freddy glove. Yeah, that was probably the biggest deal for me ever out of all of them, because like to me, like some kids grew up by watching Batman and thinking like, you know, what's Bruce Wayne's name? I forget his name. I'm a fucking idiot right now. But
Adam West.
Adam
or
West.
like, yeah.
Adam West. I worshipped Adam West, and as much as I love Batman as a kid, man, like Freddy took the cake. I mean, I would have took it. I met him Freddy when I was probably like 27 years old, and I might as well have been like 9 years old. I mean, I asked him 50 different questions and drove him crazy. Wanted to hug him and stuff. And Robert Englund was as cool as you could possibly be, which is I was so scared of meeting someone and him being a jerk or something like that, because I had built him up into like, you know, into this king, you know, and he was super nice. I mean, he answered all kinds of dumb questions for me and stuff, and even stuff probably he didn't even remember, probably bullshitted some answers for me and stuff. So I think he was real, and he probably had 400 people in line to meet him. I waited like 2.5 hours to get my glove signed, so that was a big deal for me. Really,
And
big
he
deal.
he embraced it. He's like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, because I imagine some people are like, come on,
Yeah.
like, is this all I'm going to be known for? You know, so I imagine some
Yeah.
people are like,
Yeah, but it seemed like Robert Englund's. I mean, he's done a bunch of other small stuff, but he still really embraces that role. Like, you know, even this last year, I seen a thing where I saw it too late because I wanted to get it for her, but it was he was putting out Valentine's and signing you know, Happy Valentine's Day from Freddy Krueger, and he was hand signing them and stuff with his own little logo and stuff. I'm like, so I mean, he's still doing Freddy stuff, which is cool, and he still does conventions, and he even did a convention over in Europe where he was allowed to put on the Freddy vs. Jason makeup. So they put him and wore it for
and
photo
was able
opportunities.
to come out.
People got to take pictures with him. I mean, that's insane. I would have killed for that, but yeah, that was pretty neat. So
Well, one debate that I have to settle, that I promised my wife that I would ask about, is, and we'll kind of hold a little bit till she comes back to ask, but one of the things that I talked about with my wife and got in real big trouble about this last Halloween was that I said that I said that Monster Squad was better than Hocus Pocus.
oh man, I like Monster Squad a lot too, man. Monster Squad is better than Hocus Pocus. Isn't isn't Hocus Pocus the one where it's like
The witches, the three witches, the sisters.
Oh yeah. That's probably gonna like Hocus Pocus because she likes the old ladies in that movie. That's like Bette Midler and yeah. See, I thought Monster Squad was so good though.
It was.
Yeah. Even my son, that was probably the first one I showed him when he was probably like 6-7 years old, and he still loves Monster Squad now. That was all Sam Winston monsters too, like the Gilman and the Wolfman. Wolfman has nards. I used to love that one, man. Wolfman has nards.
That was that to me, that movie, the reason why it was so special is because it impacted me as a kid, being like, I want to be like those kids.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be like like what they did and how they got to stand up to these monsters and all that. You may have overheard a little bit, but if not, the debate that I have with my wife is that Monster Squad is better than Hocus Pocus.
I don't know.
Were you a big Hocus Pocus
I'm
person?
a Hocus Pocus girl. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I figured that because those are the ladies you like and stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's like my childhood movie, and I still watch it every year.
That's the one where they seduce like a man or something like that, right? Or something weird like that. Or there's a love story involved in that too,
There's
right?
always a love story.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've probably seen it like one time because it didn't do anything for me, but yeah, okay. I don't
Well,
know.
then the thing that I'm learning, because I've surveyed people on this, is that it generally seems like guys lean towards Monster Squad and girls
Yeah.
lean towards... I don't want to segregate.
I think it's just Sarah Jessica Parker, right? Like
She's in that, right?
yeah.
That's what it was, yeah.
I think just ovaries are drawn to her. It doesn't matter what she does, we like it. So
But I agree with you though. I when I was a kid, I think I wanted to be like those kids, have that cool treehouse and that fort, and go chase after monsters and everything. I thought that was awesome. that kid's dad's a police, is a cop in town and everything. He still doesn't believe him. I always thought that was awesome. Yeah.
That is the movie that I was. My daughter's already seen Hocus Pocus because Amy, my wife, is like, it's here. We're
Right,
watching
right.
it. It's on. But I haven't shown her Monster Squad yet. And it was funny because it was like I watched a little bit of it again. And I was like, I also remember like the time when the movies came out, there was less filtering for kids. 'Cause
Yeah.
it was like, there's the scene in there where Dracula's like, something like, let it go, you bitch, or
Little
something to
bitch
the
or
little
something like
kid.
that, yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like, whoa, back it up, Dracula.
Yeah.
A little bit. But I'm like, but I think that's another thing too, is that, you know, we have all this good material that we show to our kids. Like I showed it my daughter and everything like that, but there's also, and I see a lot on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that kind of fills the gap a little bit. But
Oh, yeah.
that's the thing that I remember being like, well, maybe that's why I was drawn to it so much.
A little
It's
bit more
just-
risque.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was just that. I remember another thing that was a point in my life is that I remember going over to a friend's house and he had the movie Commando on with Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he's like just gunning people down, chopping off arms, and I was like, this is amazing. I need to watch more of this, whatever this
Commando.
is. Yeah.
Commando's great.
So anyway, so yeah. Well, I appreciate you guys coming on and talking about
Yeah,
this.
of course.
It's just truly incredible. Fortunately it's not as scary as I thought it was going to be.
It's a very homely house with
it
monsters
is.
everywhere.
It is. So I appreciate you guys, having some time to be able to sit down and talk to me. It's
For
just
sure.
amazing.
I love talking monsters, so anytime.
Well, I hope you enjoyed the show. That was a lot of fun for me. Like I said, a lot of nostalgia. And I wanted to let you guys know about some upcoming shows. In the next couple of weeks or so, the group of guys that I do a roundtable with, we're going to be going down to the NFL Combine in Indianapolis. And hopefully, no promises, hopefully we'll be able to have a show from there before we go to the Combine the next day. We'll talk about previous years where we went. We went last year and had a lot of fun. And we'll talk about kind of our expectations, and our thoughts for the upcoming Combine and what the players go through and everything like that. So, should be a lot of fun. Also, another show I'm excited about is I'm going to be talking to another roundtable, but this time with nurse practitioners. Yep, the people who are on the front lines of the medical world and have to deal with people like me who come in with the flu or whatever. And so it'll be great to talk to them and find out some stories from their careers. Hopefully they can share some. But I'm looking forward to getting their perspective on things, because I think nurses are somebody who is often overlooked and underappreciated. So anyway, look forward to that, and we'll talk soon.